welcome to this, the 54th podcast episode of the Sockmatician podcast. My name is Nathan Taylor, also known as Sockmatician, right here on YouTube. Welcome, also on Ravelry, Instagram and Twitter. I am delighted to welcome you into my living room here in North London for an hour or so of chat and burble and wittering on about a bit of this, a bit of that, and a bit of nis and a bit of nat. That went wrong. Knit and nat. It's my own little version of knit and natter. If you are a new watcher and you're tuning in for the first time, I can only apologise, it doesn't get any better than that, but welcome anyway, and welcome back to all of my fellow OSATers, my merry, intrepid band of people who make their world and the worlds of those around them that little bit better with some yarny, colourful, knitted goodness. Welcome. It's been a while since I last had a chance to chat to you, and that's because I've been a very busy boy. So I think I should probably crack straight into the round-up and say, what have I been doing? Well, it seems like a long time ago already, but a little over 2 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to take part in a knitting retreat on the west coast of Ireland. Very, very, very far down west in the south. This was in County Mayo at a little place called Killadoon, and the retreat is called Atlantic Knitscape. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. The lovely lady who runs Atlantic Knitscape retreats, she does some in May and she does some throughout September, is Catherine Hastings. And she had emailed me and said, this was a long time ago it seems, and she said, would you be willing to come across and maybe do a class? And I said, yes, absolutely. So we managed to get the details finalised and sorted out, but I still didn't really know what to expect. I knew that there would be about 20 knitters there, and I knew that we'd be in a hotel, and I knew that we'd be somewhere quite remote. And Catherine was brilliant, and she was organising everything and making sure that I had someone to collect me from the airport, which is quite some distance away. I flew into Knock airport, which is at least an hour's drive from our destination. But I was quite relaxed about it all. Everything was being taken care of and I was being very nicely looked after. So I got an email from Catherine a couple of days before saying, my husband's not going to be coming now, you're going to be picked up at the airport by a lady called Kate. I said, fine. I just was looking for someone who was going to be called Kate. I didn't realise that Kate and I have already met. We met at Edinburgh this year and we met again at Fibre East. I was like, she said, yes, I'm completely stalking you. She said, I did tell you at Fibre East that I'm stalking you, and we laughed about that. And she said, and then I was thinking, what's he going to feel? What's he going to feel like when I turn up at the airport and say, hi, I really am stalking you. Now I'm going to spend the weekend together. I'm kidnapping you. But it was wonderful. When we arrived at Killadoon, Killadoon is nothing but a collection of houses separated by fields, and it has this one hotel, which is sort of the only bar, I believe, in the area. There's no shops in Killadoon. It really is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. It's beautiful. I didn't really appreciate quite how beautiful till later on, so I'll jump ahead to that in a minute. When we were among the first to arrive, there's one lady there already called another Catherine, and Kate, Bernie, Hazel and I arrived, and Catherine Hastings, the organiser, greeted us at the door. Now, it was at this moment that I realised that something quite special was going on. Many of the people that go to Atlantic Knitscape retreats are repeat visitors. They enjoy it so much that they go time and time again, and they've become Catherine's extended family, most definitely. And I saw this from the way she greeted them, like a long-lost relative, genuinely like a long-lost relative. Each of the three of them in turn was treated to a very, very genuine and heartfelt long hug, the greeting of a long lost friend. It was really, really lovely to see, and I thought, oh, okay, it's this sort of gathering. It's going to be quite a fun time. And I wasn't wrong. And then Catherine gave me a big, big hug and greeted me in just the same way, even though we hadn't met before. And And then other people started arriving. And it was just, on every level, it was charming. The hotel is just, you just sit in the bar around the tables and you order food and drink and knit and chat. And then there's dinner. Now the dinner took up quite a long time each night at the hotel. The service wasn't the fastest. The food, magnificent, really, really delicious. But the service wasn't it wasn't the fastest, sorry. So dinner seemed to take up about 4.5 hours. So we were sitting on this sort of like L-shaped tables. We were surrounded by each other, and it was really nice. We didn't have exclusive use of the hotel. It was because it's the only bar around. It's still open for public consumption, but in the day we're kind of the only people there. So we were able to make very good friends with the people we were sitting next to at dinner, because we were there with each other for quite some time. But overall, it was so relaxing. And you know, even that was relaxing because there was nothing hurried about it. We weren't being sort of rushed out of the restaurant or anything like that. And the room was nice, simple and down to earth, and nothing fancy, but just really, really nice. And you look at the view outside the window, it looks a bit like this. And you think, wow, I really am totally somewhere remote. If I looked out of my bedroom window from the front of the hotel and looked slightly to the left, there was the Atlantic. It was the beach, and the Atlantic was right there. There was, on the Saturday morning, we arrived on the Friday, on the Saturday morning there was a walk had been organised for 10 to 7 in the morning. Now ordinarily I'd have gone, yeah, I'm up for that, but I knew I had 2 classes to teach that day, and I wanted to make sure that I was up to the job, because if any of you have ever taken a class with me, you'll know that I tend to be quite involved and quite passionate and quite energetic and enthusiastic, and I didn't want to suddenly go, I'm really tired. So I declined to go to the walk, but I down for breakfast. The night before at the dinner, Catherine had been doing her welcome talk and said, Nathan, how in the talk said, Nathan's going to be teaching the classes tomorrow, one at I think 10 and one at 2, I think we did. And she said, how long is the class? I said 3 hours. She went, 3? I don't think she was quite prepared for that. So I said, or shorter, it's absolutely fine, it doesn't matter. It's basically what I do is quite shrink to fit. I've got used to teaching the class in a certain way, and it fits very nicely into a 3-hour slot. But there's things I can shave off and not let anyone feel that they're getting shortchanged in any way. So we settled on a 2-hour class. They both ran over a little bit, to be honest, because people were involved in what they were doing and wanting to ask me more questions. And I said, okay, you're free to go, but I'm still here. And it was just lovely. I had about 10 or 11 people in each class, and such an array of different people. A lot of people from Ireland, but some people had come from much, much further afield, and New Mexico. Although, Therese, you are in fact Irish. She's an Irish expat who now lives in New Mexico, but comes back as often as she can for the Atlantic Knitscape retreats. It was just charming. It was, on every level, I had the most wonderful time. And Jean is a boy. In this case, Jean is a boy's name, and it was so lovely to have a male knitter there in my class. He's one of only 2 male knitters I've ever had in my classes. Jean and one other chap at Pearl Essence recently. So it's really, really nice to know that there are male knitters out there who want to get involved in the kind of community aspect of what knitting can be. On the Saturday evening, the classes went really, really well, and there's some people particularly flew with the technique, and I know a lot of people really, really picked it up and got very enthusiastic. Orla, hello Orla, particularly has, she's well into her Piano #1 scarf, and various other people are as well. I mean, there's the people who were there, just too numerous to mention. I could mention all sorts of different people, and lovely, lovely friends, and new relationships and friendships have been spawned with people I hope I'll stay in touch with and hope to see again. It was a very, very special weekend, and And Catherine on the Sunday morning took with Kate, who had driven me there, took me up to see her lovely house, which is about half a mile away from the hotel, and it's higher up on the hillside, so overlooking rolling fields. That we did go for a walk on the Sunday down to the beach, and we took a couple of photographs, and we had the most amazing time. I paddled in the sea with Deirdre from the Olin and podcast, and she and I we were talking as we walked down about how as I've got older, certainly, and into my mid-40s now, I've become very, not desperate, but sort of really keen and enthusiastic to grab life by the short and curlies and grab onto as many different experiences as I can. If there's something to be done, I want to do it, which is why I was cross that I couldn't go for the walk, but I knew I was there professionally, I had to look after myself. But on this walk, we said, I can't go to the sea and not paddle. And I was like, it's going to be really cold, so I don't care. Come on, let's do it. And Deirdre had been talking about this with me as well, so I went, come on, let's do it. Let's take our shoes off now. We took our shoes off at the top of the beach and we went pegging down into the water, just the two of us. And it was hilarious. It was lovely. It was bracingly cold, but not achingly cold, if you on the distinction of what's freezing, what's bearable and what's not. And it wasn't long before we went out, and I think a lot of people were like, oh, I wish I'd had a paddle. I went, come on then, we're not in any hurry. Are you going again? She's like, yeah. So eventually we all went in, pretty much, and we had a lovely time taking photographs of our feet in circles and our faces from below. It was just really, really charming. But what really, really struck me about that particular day, it was the first day we'd had really good weather. It was quite cloudy the day before, but on the Sunday the sun was out, and the colours there are absolutely magnificent. Genuinely so beautiful. Don't get me wrong, I've seen blue and I've seen green before. This was a particular type of green and a particular type of blue. The sky and the sea. The sea was such a dark, deep, rich blue, and all the hills and the fields around, this sort of lime green, really, really lemony, yellowy green. It was jaw-droppingly beautiful, and I could have stayed there for weeks on end. I hope to go back. I'd really love to go back. Several people did say after the class they got so into the double knitting, they said, well, what about your advanced class? Did you come back and do it again? I said, well, if I'll be had, I'll be here, is what I said. So watch this space, because it'd be really, really nice to go back. Had a lovely time. I'd only just come back when I had a chance to meet a very good friend of mine, who is Karen Rambach, who you will know from Sunnyside Handmade, sunnyside-handmade.com. She made the stitch markers and the badges that said #OSAT on them for me a while back. And Karen and I met for the first time in Edinburgh in March this year. We also have been in contact with lots of other things since then, but Karen is also the lady who, she's from France, and she's the lady who translated the Sockmatician's toe-ups recipe into French. And we had a great time collaborating on that, really enjoyed working together on that, it was great fun. But I knew that she and her husband Clément were going to be in London, having a little break here, and we had a chance to meet up, and we pretty much spent the whole day together. I think I was supposed to be with her for like an early lunch, like 11 o'clock something. I got there a little bit late, but we just stayed chatting and having a lovely, lovely time. They are delightful people. Karen, hello. If anyone hasn't had a chance to meet Karen on Ravelry yet, then please do say hello. She's wonderful. And if you do want to head over to sunnyside-handmade.com, that's her Etsy shop. She's got amazing things. She also had a little gift for me. She's so sweet. Knowing that I'm more likely to use progress markers than stitch markers, she gave me some of her new little creations. Aren't these adorable? So if you can see what's on them, it's a sock, but these loops at the top are actually the loops of a circular needle. So that sock is being knitted as we speak, as is that jumper, again on a circular. Must be raglan, bottom up raglan. The sleeves have been joined, we're doing the neckline there. And then this one is a mitten in the same state of almost completeness. So Karen, thank you so much for those. I do use progress markers quite a lot, rather than stitch markers. So don't get me wrong, I do use stitch markers. I'm working on a sock design now which has got, I think, 4 progress markers and 4 stitch markers in it at the same time. So yeah, I absolutely do use them. It was lovely to see them both, and while we were there, we got talking. I'm going to talk a little bit about this later on when it comes to FOs, because I've actually got 2 FOs to share with you today. How exciting. So I'll talk more about that, because Karen and I had a very, very exciting conversation, which became something which I want to show you later on. And then the following weekend, last weekend, just a week ago, I was in Saffron Walden once more for another demystifying double knitting class at Craft Days, which is a lovely shop in Saffron Walden's main street there, with the lovely Jane, who just really looks after me and bakes lovely cakes, and there are now 12 more double knitters in the world, which just makes me deliriously happy. Since then, last week, I can't remember what day it was, but I got the opportunity to meet Dario Tubiana. Now, Dario is the designer of my the only sleeved garment I've ever made, which is my Twilight Zone jumper. You remember this grey with the roll neck, and it's got the flashes of lime at the hems everywhere. Neon green that I used there, and it was just really lovely to meet him. He was in London for work, and he's doing quite a lot of design knitting. He's on a bit of a deadline for a magazine with some jumpers, big projects. So he spent most of his time here either doing his work training stuff, or he was here in his hotel knitting. Didn't get a chance to do a great deal, but I'm so glad that he made time to come and say hello. It was very, very funny. People may have seen this on Instagram. Dario also has a beard not dissimilar from mine, and a shaved head not dissimilar to mine. So we looked rather alike sitting in the pub. It was this awful pub. I chose it because I knew it was nearby where he was working, and I just googled pubs around Mason's Arms. Oh, it looks nice. Sports pub. God, it was awful. It was there was a football game playing on the screen behind us, so every now and then we were trying to talk, and every now and then the pub would erupt into screams and cheers as someone had either scored or missed scoring a goal, or something. I don't know, knocking the bludger into the hoop. I don't know. And it was getting on my nerves quite a bit, but we had a really nice time. So Dario, if you're watching, it's lovely to meet you. And that kind of brings us up to date. I've been really, really busy doing other things as well, with various rehearsals for things going on. I've got a concert with Vocally Bespoke, who's the singing harmony group that I work with. We went on Pitch Battle together, the TV show, back in June, and we've got a concert coming up at the end of this month. It's October the 3rd today, and at the end of this month, 31st of October, we're doing a concert at the Leicester Square Theatre, which is where it's the building that Ben and I met in. It wasn't called the Leicester Square Theatre then, it was called the Venue, and that's where Boy George's musical Taboo was showing, and that's where Ben and I met. So that'll be fun to do that. And also, because the way they're putting the show together, the Carrie and the team who run the choir, it's Vocally Bespoke, the story so far. So it's about us, it's about the members and who we are and how we all met and how we've come together to create what is Vocally Bespoke. And several of us met through and because of mine and Ben's wedding. Ben's and my wedding. It always trips me up, that. Ben's and my wedding. and they were singing in the choir. So we had Abby, who you've met on this sofa, our friend Leo, and Carrie, and me, and Andy. We're all in Vocally Bespoke together, and we were all singing at the wedding. Some of us knew each other before, but that's how we came together. So what we're doing is we're actually singing a short version of Love Is Everyone, which is the song that Ben and I wrote for the finale of the film. And once we'd been pronounced husband and husband, we sing the song called Love Is Everyone.
Love is pulling down fences
and tearing down walls.
Love is everyone.
No law has the right to dictate who we love.
Love is everyone.
Don't waste time. You've only one life to live.
If you're gonna fail, fail and fail hard.
Raise your game. Don't walk away.
Kites fly highest against the wind, and missed opportunities are harder to forgive.
And love is everyone under the sun. Love is everyone. Love knows no boundaries, gender or race.
Love is everyone.
Age is no issue, and color is blind.
Love is everyone.
Somebody where you can't hear him is frightened of being alone. Reach out and say he deserves to be loved. Loved how we know we are not on our own. Love is everyone under the sun. Love is everyone. Love is everyone under the sun. Love is everyone.
Because I genuinely believe it is. And I don't know where this is going really, but I think it's just a really nice circular thing that we're going to be singing that song on stage in the very building where Ben and I first met 15 years ago. It just feels right. It feels very poetic, which is lovely. So there's that. I've also been in rehearsals for a show that I've already performed with once, but it was earlier this year, and we only did it the once, and it's quite full on. It's called Broadway and Beyond. I talked about it at the time. There's a lot of material in it, a lot of dancing. And this 43-year-old is a little bit slower at picking things up than he used to be. So I've got more rehearsals for that coming up. I'm doing 2 shows back to back, but they are 2 completely different shows. There's one. They have 2 completely different shows they put out. I'm doing one on the Friday and one on the Saturday. So I've got these 2 performances, and honestly, totally full on. There's a lot of material. No pardon. Lot of material, so I'm going to be flat out because, of course, in a week and a half's time, I'm flying off to nearly 2 weeks' time. I'm flying off to New York for Rhinebeck. I don't know when I'm going to fit everything in. I'm just going to have to. I'm going to have to. I've also got design commissions coming up, deadlines racing towards me. One particularly which has caused me a bit of bother. It's one that I've been talking about and not showing you for ages and ages and ages. Still can't show you. And the maths has literally been keeping me up at night. I've been lying awake last night particularly, getting really, really stressed about it, thinking, I don't know how to make this one work. In my head, I know it does. It's just trying to make it work spatially in 3 dimensions and fit a human foot. which is a stupidly shaped object to try and wrap a two-dimensional substance around. Anyway, that's what I've been up to. I've been busy, which is why I haven't been able to chat to you very much. But let's crack on with the community section and go straight into, if you don't mind, the podcast questions section. Now, do you mind if I have a little bit of a whinge? Please, don't use the podcast questions thread on my group for chatting and responding to people. Even if somebody has asked a question and you know that the answer's been asked and it's very easy to do, could you sort of ear burn them in the general chatter thread or something like that? I've just tried to scan through everything in there just as quickly as I can, just so I can see the questions. It's becoming really hard to do because I love it. I love the fact that there's so much chat. I really do. The interaction between everybody in my group threads is wonderful. But please, the podcast questions is just for asking a question. And if you see something in there and you go, oh, I'd like to respond to that, take it to another thread and ear burn if you don't mind. I hate being all schoolmarmish about this, but it just makes my life really tricky otherwise. I'm probably going to miss a few because I'm scanning through. Leslie, hi Leslie, Porthia says, I have a question. You said this episode that you hadn't much time for knitting. I didn't. I know you made the wonderful hat a wee while back, but do you ever wish you had time to knit work by other designers? And if so, is there anyone in particular you admire? Well, interesting. The hat that Leslie's referring to is this fantastic creation here, which is the Hexa hat by Tom van Dynen, who is Tom of Holland. And it's, I love it. I wrap myself in this almost every evening. It doesn't actually live here. I placed it here this afternoon just because I thought the sofa needed a bit of dressing for the occasion, but normally it's around somewhere. It's usually in the bedroom or it's here waiting for me to just snuggle up inside it. I knitted it with the Barocco Ultra Alpaca, and it's really warm. I love it. Can you see the texture on it as well? You see the diamond patterns on it. Oh, it's beautiful. It's so soft and snuggly. I love it. So I don't often, you're right, have an opportunity to knit other people's stuff. I'm usually spending a lot of time doing my own stuff and trying to put that together. In terms of who do I wish I had more time? Yeah, actually I do. I'd like to sort of get the balance of knitting for pleasure and knitting for work a little bit better delineated, because there's a lot of knitting for work now that it's part of my livelihood. In terms of who else's stuff, well, there's lots and lots of Stephen West's stuff, and Jared Flood, and Kieran Foley. I've just named 3 male designers. Bing bang bong. That wasn't deliberate actually. Who else do I really love? The socks of Cookie A, I really like. The socks by General Hog Buffer, another boy designer. Who else's work do I really admire? Oh, there's lots actually. I mean, I scroll through Instagram and I see lots of fantastic things out there, and I just like, I'd love to have a go at that. But I've got so many ideas of things in my head that I want to get on the needles that I haven't got the time. So much knitting, so little time. Ain't that the truth for all of us? So I hope that answers the question a bit, Leslie. Moving through the chatter. Scrolling. So Martha's Hinterhoff says, hi Nathan, would you share yours and Ben's love story with us? I sort of just did. Here is mine. It was my first day as an intern at a cabinet maker's workshop, and my to-be husband came up to me and asked in the most intimidating tone, and who are you? Well, what can I say? Love at first sight, right? I have talked about this before, but very briefly I should say Ben and I worked together on Taboo, the Boy George musical in the West End. I joined the cast and Ben was the resident director. So it was a bit tricky to start with because he was my boss, he was in charge, and as soon as we met, we got together very quickly, and I think it caused other people some problems because people thought that we wouldn't be able to maintain a professional working relationship because we were in the first throes of a burgeoning romance. Well, actually, we worked really, really hard at that, and whether people agree with us or not, nobody would have known that there was anything untoward happening. Not that a relationship is untoward, but an inter-status relationship between a boss and a menial. Even down to the fact that there are times when I had various covers that I had to learn, so the parts that I was understudying, and it was Ben's job to teach me. So we'd get together and we'd be in the theatre, just the two of us, for 3, 4 hours, 5 hours at a stretch, learning stuff, and we would never sit there just going, I think I might be in love with you. There's none of that going on. We had a job to do, we got on and we did it. We had a very clear separation between our work life and our previous life, our personal life. So, and that's it really. And then the show closed 8 months later, and 15 years later, Ben and I are still going strong. So for all of those people who said it wasn't a good idea, look at us now. Sarah Jo, or Sarah Jo, I'm not sure because she's S-A-R-A without an H, so it could be Sarah or Sarah, I know both. I'm sorry if this has already been addressed, but I'm only at podcast 8. It's going to be a while then before you see this. It's going to be a couple of years possibly before you get around to this, but I'll answer it anyway. How did you become interested in double knitting or even know it existed? I'm a total convert and love the idea of something that is two-sided, sturdy, warm and does not need to be blocked. Well, there we are, I see. Your historical patterns are awe-inspiring and I look forward to knitting them all. Il Barato is my first attempt at double knitting and it is totally addictive. Well, it's quite simple. I was at a knit night. I've told the story so many times in classes, but I don't know if I've ever told it on the podcast. But I was at a local knit meetup, and a lady walked in. This was very early on in my knitting life, and I was only ever knitting socks at that point. It's all I knew how to do. And I could have made a scarf. I'm sure I could have done that, but socks was all I was doing. And a lady walked in, and she was wearing a cardigan, which was marvellous. It was completely double knitted, but I didn't know this at the time. It just had this pattern all over it, like a cityscape, so skyscrapers and clouds and a hot air balloon, I think, and birds and roads and traffic. It was amazing. And then she opened it up, and inside the colours were all reversed and the pattern was there. It was like, and I said, oh goodness, what is this crazy sorcery? And she went, it's double knitting. And I said, how do I learn this? And she said, well, there's loads of information on YouTube. So just type in double knitting and away you go. And I did, and I got totally hooked. And it was about 3 months, I think, before I even put anything on my needles. I was just soaking up as many videos of DK as I possibly could. So I wanted to see different people's methods and work out what I thought was going to be the best method for me. Because different people do things differently, and some people actually get things a little bit incorrect in their videos. And I wanted to make sure I didn't have any of those sort of false starts. So I took the plunge when I couldn't wait any longer. I literally couldn't hold myself back. I was like, I've got to do something. I had all this knowledge bubbling away in my head and I needed to give it an outlet. So I designed and knitted the Perplexus scarf. So it was quite an ambitious piece for my first piece of double knitting, and I learnt a lot along the way, and I loved it. And that was it. I was completely and utterly hooked. But you're right, it is totally addictive. Says Paula E53. A few months back, you said you were giving up your day job to focus more time and effort on your knitwear designing and teaching. You're still performing as an actor and singer, correct? ? Yes. How is the knitting, designing and teaching portion of your life working out? Well, you can tell. I'm in it full time. I'm balancing as much performing and sort of the corporate work that I've always done, as well as the knitting stuff. My time is never my own. I mean, knitting for everybody. Knitting means never being bored again, right? Wherever you are, you can always whip out a sock pattern or a scarf or anything you're working on, anything portable, and we've always got it with us. I feel a little bit naked if I leave the house without any knitting, to be honest. But it's all going rather well. I'm not earning enormous amounts of money yet, but give it time. It's something that needs to grow and to be allowed to flourish, and that requires me being able to put in as much time on it as I can. So that's what I'm doing, and that's partly why I haven't spoken to you guys in such a long time. Anyway, Paula, see you right back. Okay, so Nemo the Fairy says, just finished watching the new episode. My browser does not want to let me watch all the videos I want lately, and I have to say, man, you do grow a beard fast. I am that manly. I'm that butch. I was wondering, before you started knitting, what did you do? It was certainly a big change in your life, as it seems. And how was Ben's reaction when he realised this was becoming a big part of your life? I'm sorry if this is nosy, your knitting journey is just as fascinating to me. What did I do before? Well, more of the same. Acting, singing, dancing, which I still do, performing wherever I can. I used to read a lot more. In a previous life, I used to design websites. Started off as a bit of a hobby and something I got really interested in. This is long before the days of Wix or Photoshop, really, or Dreamweaver or any of these coding programs. I was learning the code from books. I was on tour with the Rocky Horror Show at the time, and I'd go into Waterstones everywhere, whatever city we were in. I'd spend all day there looking at the JavaScript books and copying out bits of code and then taking it back home. I used to tour my actual desktop, a huge great big box and a massive monitor and the keyboard and the mouse. I used to tour those in the back of my car so that I could do this while I was on the road, because when you're performing at night you have a lot of time free in the day, and that was my passion at the time. So I learnt a lot about JavaScript and HTML and CSS and the languages of the internet, and then started doing it for other people and started turning it into a little business, and it was actually a knee-jerk response to that started me knitting in the first place, if you want the journey proper. I was spending all day every day looking at a computer screen. So this was after I'd finished the tour, and this is about 6-7 years ago, and I was between jobs, and I was working at the box office all day staring at a computer screen, and then I'd come home and I'd be checking emails and then looking at work for clients and spending all my evenings buried up to here in computer screens with moving this picture by a pixel that way, or making everything look just perfect. And because I'd learned the long-winded way, I hadn't ever caught up with technology, and technology had become all these Dreamweaver programs were able to, you literally move things around the way you want them, and it writes the code for you. Well, that didn't exist when I learned, and I knew that other people were doing this in a fraction of the time that I could do it in, because I was the purist who went back to the original coding. And I just thought, what do I get? What do you get at the end of it? It's just ones and zeros in a giant calculator. It's just lighted pixels on a screen. There's nothing tangible to show for it. And it was about that time that my friends Sam and Julie were saying to me, I need you to, why don't you start knitting? I think your brain would like it. And I was like, I need something. And knitting filled that gap. And here I am today, doing it professionally. Who knew? Oh, it's Paula again. Hello, Paula, again. I'm catching up with your earlier episodes in a rather random fashion. I'm on 19 now, and you mentioned your friend James, whose knitting technique seems to defy explanation. You said you're sorry you didn't video his method and plan to ask him to provide video proof. Did that ever happen? Like you, I'm fascinated. No, it didn't. Sorry, moving on. And then also she says, going back to episode 24, I show the Lorelei sock, and she fell in love with it. I said right then I might have to reverse engineer and create the pattern for release if there was enough interest. I think you should work out the pattern, Nathan. That is one gorgeous sock. And I do mean one. There is still only one. Oh, do you know what? One day I can't promise anything. There's just too many other things on the go. I might just have to let that one be one sock. I'm not even sure it's still in one piece. So that's the podcast questions. Now, something very, very interesting has been happening on Etsy. Many of you keen podcast watchers will be very familiar with the work of my friend Lorena. Now, Lorena lives in Canada and dyes yarn, and has always been doing it with just like food colouring and stuff like that, but she's recently done a foray into acid set dyes, and she's really rather good. You'll know her from the Pride rainbow socks that I knitted for myself out of her self-striping yarn that she made as a special colourway for me, and she's recently sent me another gift, a belated birthday present, which I love and haven't started knitting with yet, but will do soon. It's the 7 stripes of the Bear Pride flag, which I love. I love the flag, but I love the yarn. That's what I meant. Now, she has been talking for a while about opening an Etsy shop. She wasn't sure whether or not she wanted to do it, because she's been doing this just for the fun of it, and wasn't sure if she wanted to turn it into a business. But I think there's been quite a lot of interest in people wanting to buy the yarns that she can dye. She's very good at it, so I'm not surprised. Well, I'm delighted to say that she has, in fact, taken the plunge. This is so exciting. You can find her at piggyyarns.etsy.com. piggyyarns.etsy.com. So that's 2 Y's in the middle. Piggy Yarns at Etsy. Sorry, piggyyarns.etsy.com. And I could not be more delighted. So she's Lorena Clements, and some of the colours that she has are absolutely brilliant. Let me just sort of go into a couple at random and show you what she's coming up with. So this one here, ooh, look at that. That is called Witch Farts. Makes me laugh a lot. Witch Farts. And it's this fabulous sort of blackish purple it's a black base with pops of bright orange, green and purple. Then we've got, I'm not going to show you them all, she's got 18 different colourways in stock, but some of them are absolutely beautiful. This one's fun, Jeweled Jubilee, this one's called when it loads. There we are, Jeweled Jubilee, really, really lovely, bright blues and cyans and lime greens, lovely, very nice. It's blowing out a little bit on camera there, but I think you get the gist. One of my all-time favourites in here, this is so gorgeous, this is called Yellowfinch. Now, if you don't know what a yellowfinch is, obviously it's a bird. When I show you this, you'll know exactly what bird I'm talking about. Look at that. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. Oh yeah, that's really, really nice, that is. And there's a couple of others I really want to share with you as well before we go any further. I love this one, 80s Acid Wash. Let's bring this up larger on screen. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? It really is like acid wash denim from the 1980s. It's richer and more vibrant, I think. It's really, really gorgeous. Then a couple more before I move on. There's Punk Flamingo. Not Pink Flamingo, Punk Flamingo. And why not? Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous thing there. Really, really bright, vibrant pink with the black and the greys in there, the mottled sections. Really fabulous. Lorena, you've outdone yourself, you really, really have. And the last one I want to share with you, there's loads more, but I really wanted to share, I love this one. This is called Double Strawberry. Now that just looks edible. I mean, really, that looks absolutely edible. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. The bases she has are, there's fingering weight, and there's, she's got Christmas gradient as well. If you're getting your Christmas knit on, there's some gradient cakes. There we are. They're going from green to white to red. That's called Christmas Cheer. That's fingering weight. So a lot of it is on the opal yarn base. So it's 75% wool, 25% nylon. There are other bases as well. I don't know all the details, and I don't want to waste anyone's time looking at it now. But she's got so many beautiful colourways. You can see them not in great detail there, but that's the full range there. So I can't recommend Lorena's stuff highly enough. I've not yet had a chance to sample, I might be purchasing something, I've not had a chance to sample her acid dye colourways yet, but I do know, actually there's some acid dye in the Bear Pride flag. I know the grey and the black are, but from my Pride Rainbow Pride flag socks, I wear them all the time, and they've been washed several times, and you know I don't wash my hand knit socks every single time I wear them. Wear and air. A couple of times, it's fine. Prolongs their life. Sorry, it does. But the colours are just as vibrant. They're really, really bright and strong and fabulous, and they're just as vibrant now as they were when I first knit them. So I cannot recommend Lorena's stuff highly enough. So please do head to piggyyarns.etsy.com. I think that's all she wanted me to say. I think the reason why it's called Piggy Yarns is because obviously there's a bit of a yarn pig in all of us, and I think she's got some plans to have some fun with the name in the future, with the naming of certain things. But they are really, it's lovely stuff. It's really, really nice. So she's just starting out. She's only launched the shop in the last couple of days, and I said that I would do what I can to channel people to her. So please, please, please do go and have a little look, and if you like what you see, support a new business just setting up, and see if we can get this. If it's successful, she'll do more. She's got plans for different bases and all sorts of different things as well, so trying out some new stuff. So, but she needs to know it's going to be financially viable to do so. There's no point outlaying everything if she doesn't know if it's going to work out or not. So let's prove to her that it will work out. Go and buy some things. Marvellous. So I now want to move on to where's Sockmatician? Where's Sockmatician? You have to say it like that, don't you? Where's Sockmatician? Well, I can tell you exactly where Sockmatician is coming up. Let me get my other diary. It's in my laptop here. Because there's a few classes coming up that I know there are some places left on. I don't know exactly which ones they are, but just if you hear one that's local to you, then please do give them a call and say hi. I'm going to put all the details on the screen as I talk about it, so I don't need to sort of think of things on the top of my head. So coming up this Saturday, 7th of October, it's soon. I'm back at Craft Days in Saffron Walden. Saffron Walden is in Cambridgeshire. It's 27 High Street, Saffron Walden, CB10 1AT. And that's for the Demystifying Double Knitting class, which is my beginner's class. If you've never done any double knitting before, this is the class for you, most definitely. You don't need to worry about thinking, it's a bit too advanced for me. If you can knit and you can purl, then you can do this class, okay? So give Jane a call, the number will be on screen, and see if there are any places left for that. I'm not sure that there are, there may be one or two, I don't know for sure. So that's that. The 22nd of October, 21st and 22nd essentially, my class is in Rhinebeck. I'm sorry, they sold out in seconds, you can't come. Unless you're coming already, in which case I'll see you there. But I'm so excited. Where's Sockmatician? In New York. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be amazing. And then when I get back on the 5th of November, so remember the 5th of November, I can't remember whether it's a morning class or not, but again, I'll put the details on screen. I'm teaching another Demystifying DK class at Wild and Woolly Wild and Woolly is a shop in London. It's in the east of London, and it's in Lower Clapton Road. It's 116 Lower Clapton Road. If you're looking for it on screen, it's the English spelling of Woolly with 2 L's. Wild and Woolly, WOOLLY. I think it's wildandwoollyshop.co.uk, but again, I'll check that. And that's London E50QR. If you want to come and join us for that, give Anna a call or check out the website and book your places. I think there was one place left on that last time she and I spoke. That may have gone already, but it's worth giving it a go. And then I'm going to be doing back at Wild and Woolly again. Oh, hang on, before that, the weekend of the 10th to the 12th, I'm going to be at the Nottingham Yarn Festival on Saturday the 11th of November. Hello again, just jumping in a little bit randomly with a little bit more information about the Nottingham Yarn Expo classes that I'm taking. I've got 2 classes on Saturday the 11th of November. Let me just get the details up here. Saturday the 11th of November. One is at 9 until 12, 9 a.m. till 12 midday, and that is the demystifying double knitting class. So that's your beginners DK class, and then I'm doing a second class that day from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m, and that's going to be the advanced class. That's shaping the future of double knitting. So if you are interested in any of those classes, either of those classes, I know there are still places available for those, head to nottinghamyarnexpo.com and you can book your places immediately. That's Saturday the 11th of November, 9 till 12 for the beginners and 1 till 4 for the advanced. And then the following weekend, the 19th of November, I'm back at Wild and Woolly, and this is my advanced class. So this is going to be shaping. It's called Shaping the Future of Double Knitting, and it's all about shaping. So it's decreases and increases and German short rows and a whole host of fabulous, really, really sort of mind-bending stuff. You do need to be an experienced double knitter. The experience of being able to double knit, if you've made a scarf, that's enough, but you do need to know what double knitting is and how it works in order to be able to do this class. We can't be there teaching people the basic mechanics of it, but even if you're quite new to double knitting, as long as you know what's going on and as long as your brain is switched on and ready to learn some new stuff, then this is a fun class for you. And that's it at the moment until for the rest of this year. I'm not going to go into next year yet. Until, apart from, I want to talk about January. My battery's showing a bit low on here, hang on. Sunday, January the 21st, 2018. It's just been announced, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very excited about this. The Waltham Abbey Wool Show at the Marriott Hotel in Waltham Abbey. The Waltham Abbey Wool Show has just announced a special guest opening the festival. And that's me! Kate and Diana, who are putting together the show, contacted me a while back. I've been sitting on this news for ages, and they said, would I actually cut a ribbon? It's going to be brilliant, I can't wait. So this is Sunday the 21st of January 2018. It's the Waltham Abbey Wool Show. The marketplace is open from 10 till 4 p.m. I'm going to be there doing the opening ceremony and saying a few words. I'm also going to be judging, this is very exciting, their funky footwear competition. So knitted or crocheted or fibercraft funky footwear. So if you want to make a really, really outrageous pair of socks with fabulous designs and patterns and colours and all sorts of things, they have to be you know the kind of stuff I like. You know I like things a little bit crazy. It's going to be it's going to have to be funky to win me over. You know that, right? So make it really funky. Entrance tickets are £3.50 only in advance. They're £5 on the day, but if you buy them in advance from Waltham Abbey Wool Show website, which is on screen now, then you just £3.50. Now I'm going to open the show at 10 o'clock and I'm judging the handmade funky footwear competition, but I'm also going to be teaching a class there. And all details of how to book for that class will be on the website. But I just wanted to let you all know that it's happening. Kate and Diana have also very kindly said that I will that I can offer a pair of tickets as a prize giveaway. So I'm going to open a thread on Ravelry. I'm not going to tell you what the question will be now. I'm going to open a thread on Ravelry as this uploads. It'll be there waiting for you when you watch this. And if you are available now, obviously don't try and win if you can't come. You must be available to come to the Waltham Abbey Wool Show on Sunday the 21st of January 2018. It's going to be lovely. It's in the middle of January. Everyone's bored and miserable at that point. What better fun to have than a bit of yarny goodness? So it's Junction 20, it's the Marriott Hotel in Waltham Abbey, EN9 3LX. That's Junction 26 of the M25. Junction 26 of the M25. I feel very, very privileged and honoured to be able to be asked to do all of this, and it'd be lovely for you to join me. They've also already had a little competition on their Facebook page to guess the VIP. They gave a little clue. The clue was OSAAT. So I think if anyone who watches this would have known pretty surely. And a lovely lady called Lily has won some tickets to come. And apparently, Lily, if you're watching, hello, this will be your first ever yarn show. So this will be very, very exciting. And I'm really, really looking forward to meeting you. And well done for guessing that this chap is going to be the VIP guest. But if you would like to win your own pair of tickets, then please head to my group on Ravelry. There'll be a dedicated thread there, and you can win your tickets. But please be free and available to come. Otherwise, it gets a bit embarrassing. Gotcha. So, what else did I want to talk to you about? I'm not going to do What's Tat. I'm not going to do a grammar rant today. Because I've had a lot of admin, and I'm sorry about that, and I want to crack on with some of the knitting goodness. So, while I get ready for stash enhancement, there's some things that I don't have here, so pause for 1 second, I'll be right back. I'm back. While I was at the Atlantic Knitscape retreat, all those weeks ago, and all those nearly an hour ago when I was talking about it, I was lucky enough to get a prize in the raffle. Now everyone got a prize in the raffle, which is lovely. Some people came and donated things. Catherine herself donated things. I wasn't aware of this. I didn't take anything to donate, so I didn't expect to be included. However, Catherine said, oh no, everyone gets a prize. So I bagged this. There were lots of yarny goodness things there. There was some beautiful skeins of yarn. One I really had my eye on, but someone snaffled that first. I don't think I would have been able to choose it because it was really, really gorgeous. If I'd been one of the first people there, I'd have gone for something small, I think, because I didn't feel that I was there professionally. I hadn't contributed, so I felt a bit bad. But I was chosen towards the end. I thought, okay, so not many people have wanted this. I went to this book. It's the Twisted Sisters Knit Sweaters, a knit to fit workshop. Now I don't know enough about garments and how to fit them, so I'm really, really looking forward to getting stuck into this, and hopefully I believe it's about where you can sort of it's formulas essentially for different types of garments, sweater garments. So there's all kinds of different things there, and you can it's workshops on how to make things that will fit you. So I'm really looking forward to that. But also, while I was there, the lovely Kate, my stalker, because we're seeing each other in Rhinebeck as well. Can't wait, Kate. I cannot wait to see you. Now, Kate is the host of Hawthorne Cottage Craft podcast, so if you want to check her out, then head over to YouTube. She's Hawthorne Cottage Craft. She's also Hawthorne Cottage Craft on Etsy. Yes, Hawthorne Cottage Craft on Etsy, and she's Kate_Hawthorne Cottage Craft on Instagram. Now, Kate makes bags, and they're very nice bags, and she gave me one, which was very, very kind. And it's deliberately boyish, which I love. Cartoony and fabulous. You can see it's still all flat. I haven't had a chance to move into it yet, but next thing I cast on is go in here. What I love about it is the way it's designed. It folds over at the top and has a great big button on it. So if you're traveling and stuff like that and you want to keep everything nice and tidy, you can. However, if you're in more of a hurry, it's poppers at the top. There's 3 poppers, fabulous bright red colour to coordinate with the reds that are on here and the red button to go with what's inside. A fabulous hand strap. Everybody knows that when I'm out and about I like to have a hand strap on things. But what's really good about this, it's interfaced to hell and back really. Oh, she's got a lovely label, I didn't see that. Hawthorne Cottage Craft. Very nice indeed. It's really interfaced well, and it's designed so that while you're sitting there you can fold the top bit back and it'll sit there like its own yarn bowl. It's stiff enough to, actually it's not behaving itself. I've proved this by putting it on the floor. Hang on. Yeah, on the floor it sits up quite perfectly. It just doesn't want to do that on my hand. There we are. So it'll sit very, very nicely with this folded down. It gives it enough of an opening there, so it works like its own little yarn bowl and stops your yarn cakes and balls from wandering all across the room. So if you like the look of this, then head over to Kate's Etsy. But I really, really like it. I was very, very pleased, very grateful. So thank you so much. It was a lovely, lovely gift. More stash enhancement. So there's not a great deal of yarn, to be honest. There is some. You'll know that last time I was talking about this puffin from Quince & Co. that I made the Dragged Across America hat Mark II in. Well, can I talk about that now? Yeah, okay. I bought some more. I bought some more Quince & Co. puffin in this colourway, which is not the same. It's a lighter grey. You see? They actually look very different on screen, but they are very different in life. Actually, which is four balls. So that's the original one, but I also bought these 2 other colours here. They're all balled up and there's not much of this one left, so I'll have to talk more about that in a moment. But it's really, really nice. It's a single, as you can see there, it's a single, and I don't tend to like working with singles that much, but I don't mind working with this. Oddly, this original lighter grey feels much, much softer, particularly knitted up. The fabric of this one is much softer than this one. This seems a little bit rougher and coarser, and I don't know why that would be. It's the same brand of yarn. It must be something to do with the dyeing processes. But this green I absolutely love. Now, these are what I've got left from making 2 different things, but I think they might work very nicely together. So watch this space. There may be a cowl coming out with these 3 yarns. Now the reason I'm showing this is because more stash enhancement. I was in Tiger the other day and I found these, a bag of wooden beads. Assorted shapes and colours. I think they all work really, really nicely together. This bag of beads was £1. I don't know who's making money on that, but it was £1 for that bag. And knowing that I had those 3 sets of chunky yarns, I thought a beaded cowl, because these beads, I just think against these colours, ooh, don't you think? And then I thought, well, maybe looking at them, maybe some of the smaller beads there, really, really tiny little holes. However, because it's quite a soft, lofty yarn, I checked with my 2mm crochet hook. I can easily get it through there and quite happily pull the bead onto the yarn. So I've never been one for beaded work at all. I've never done it because often beaded lace shawls and things like that tend to be little sort of plasticky, shiny, coloured beads like that. But then suddenly I thought, well, how about if we get these types of wooden beads, which are much more, I think, much more me. And I think that looks rather nice. So, guess what's going to be happening? This fella's going to be casting on a chunky cowl using this and beading it with wooden beads. It's free. It's going to be a free cowl because it's scraps of yarn from stuff I've already used and beads that cost £1. Marvellous. Really, really happy about that. I also, a while back, was given, and I forgot to mention it last time, I was given these stitch markers by Tipsy Knits Podcast. It's Sia and Pip, who I met at Perth, and the Tipsy Knits Podcast, they're Tipsy Knits on Twitter, and you can check them out should you like. But she gave me these lovely stitch markers. There's only 3 of them on here because 2 of them are in use. But what they are, I'm holding it in the wrong place. Can you see there? They are beautiful little rings, and they are specifically, for me, 6 colours on each one, and they are the colours of the Pride rainbow flag. Thank you, ladies. You've got my number. Really, really nice. They're lovely, and they're really smooth as well. They're very tactile. The rings sort of all sort of play around. They all work around each other really, really nicely. I like them enormously. So thank you very much for that. So let's move on, shall we, to whips. When I went to meet Karen Rambach, and her husband Clément, I had just finished something I'm going to show you in a minute. I had nothing on the needles. I knew we were going to be sitting around knitting, so I very quickly had to wind a skein of yarn. Now, when we met in Edinburgh, Karen had given me a gift which was from somebody else who had asked her to pass it on to me, and I showed it here. The gift was 3 skeins of self-striping yarn from Mon Sheep Shop. Mon, as in my sheep shop in French, Mon Sheep Shop. And they were 3 colourways. One was England, one was Wales, and one was Scotland. Now, I thought, because I was going to meet up with Karen, and she was the one who'd passed them on to me, what better skein of yarn to grab than one of these, and which better of the 3 than the Scottish one, because that's where we met, you know? As it turned out, I've lost my yarn swift. I don't know where it is. It's a hard thing to lose. I've got no idea where it is. It may have fallen down the back of my wardrobe, because it's flat pack. It's one of the ones with the 2 bits of interconnecting wood that sit in like that, and you break it up and you put it in a box and it's flat. So it may have slipped down the back of my wardrobe, which would be annoying because that's a big heavy wardrobe to move. Not looking forward to that. But I can't find it. So anyway, I was like, I can't if there's no knitting. So I started winding it by hand from the skein. I had the skein wrapped around my knees, and it took forever. It's quite a healthy yardage on this, and I was really not enjoying doing it. So let me. Is this one? Yeah. So this is hand-dyed yarn from Mon Sheep Shop. Label looks like that. That's all it says. Oh, hang on, there's stuff inside. 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 metres, so it's quite a fine one. And this is from Cindy. It says this is Scotland colourway, and it says for part of the Six Nations 2017. I got 3 of them. So anyway, it made me late for my meeting with Karen, but it's so gorgeous. In the ball, these are the colours. Now, what's not to love, really, when and I've been knitting it from my fantastic bag from Amy in New York, which, Amy, I don't know if you're watching this, I hope you are, but honestly, everywhere I go, I'm taking this bag with me, and people are going bananas over it. Everyone thinks it's the most wonderful gift, as do I, and it's getting so much attention. I cannot tell you, because it's so big. I usually put 2 or even a third project in it. There's scarf project in there now, and I've been knitting out of it, so it keeps me very, very happy. Back to the yarn. It's beautiful. It's only 3 colours. It's the sort of deep dark blue, the rich emerald green, and the vibrant purple, the heathers of the Scottish Highlands. And it's a self-striper. Really, really interesting the way it knits up. It's not wide stripes at all, not even a little bit. They're only 3 or 4 rounds each, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm really, really enjoying this. I have had so little time to work on it, unfortunately, because of other commitments and other time things taking up all of my hours. But look at how beautiful that is. I think that's absolutely gorgeous. I am using the techniques in my The Best Self-Striping Ribbed Socks in the World pattern, which is ready to go. I just need the time to sort of get it. It's ready. It's literally, it's ready. It's done. But I just need some time to get all the uploading and all my newsletter stuff done. So it will be a few days yet. But the whole concept of the blipless stripes. So if I open up the stripes here, you can see there's no interruption to the colours. They're the cleanest stripes in the world. Blipless stripes. It's just about doing the first round of a new colour in all knits. Very simple. Listen, there's more to my sock pattern than that. Don't worry, I'm not giving away all the candies. There's that would be foolish, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm just about to release a whole pattern of tips and tricks, but I'm going to tell them all to you for free on my podcast. That would be rather foolish. So there it is, in its glory, and I really, really enjoy it. This is a 72 stitch sock, and this is worked on a 2.25 millimeter needle, and it gives me great joy. It's a brilliant project for knitting out and about. I don't need to worry about the pattern because obviously it's a pattern that I understand and I know, but also it makes, because of the rib and because of doing the blipless stripes in the ribbing, it makes it interesting enough that it's not boring. It sort of keeps my brain in the game, because I have to keep an eye on when the yarn changes colour and making sure that I'm purling when I should be purling and not when I shouldn't. So there's plenty going on, even though it's a very, very basic, simple ribbed striped sock. Love it, absolutely love it. So that is one of my favourite whips at the moment. The other whip that's going on, it doesn't look like it's growing at all. It has had a little bit of love, is the bell size double knitted scarf, which is looking rather like that. You can really see how the pattern is emerging now, and on the other side it looks like that. I'm really, really enjoying this. I wish I had more time. This will be a design release pattern project, but it sort of has to take a back seat because it's going to be long. It's fingering weight yarn, and it's done with these 2.75 mil needles. 2.5. Ridiculous, but it's the right size. It's exactly what I want it to be. So it needed to be that. So there's the pattern. I think it's beautiful, and I love the colours. This is knitted, if you can't remember me talking about it, with Carthen Rack's Triskelion yarns, and beautiful, beautiful colours. Saturation in that purple, it's almost ultraviolet, gorgeous, and steely, pebbly, greenish grey. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So those are the whips. That's what's going on. So now let's talk about some FOs. The last time we chatted, you saw me working on some socks, which are Zauberball socks, Das Original Crazy Zauberball from Schoppel, and this one is the Stricken kann süchtig machen. Knitting can be addictive. Yes, it can. It doesn't really say. Colorway 1660 Flusbett. I don't really know what that is. I don't know what Flusbett means. Yes, I do. Riverbed. I do know that. Flus is river and bet is, yeah, so riverbed, flusbed. I just worked that out. I'm quite impressed. So this is again 420 metres for 100 grams, so it's quite fine. And it goes a long, long way. I've got loads left and I finished the socks and they're really, really long. I'm actually wearing the socks today. So let me do my usual shenanigans. And actually, do you know what? Riverbed, I think that's quite good. It's got the weeds, the reeds, the water, the mud. It's great. The duck poo. So that's one of them. And here's the other one. Looking just as natty. There we are. Look at that. So these are the socks that I was making. I deliberately made them quite long because I knew that I had. I stood on some foam. Unfortunately, this sofa is a bit broken. It's a bit ripped, and the foam stuffing is coming out and it goes everywhere. So we need to get it repaired. It's leather. So we just need to get it replaced probably. So I do end up with bits of foam all over my socks. But there they are. I didn't bother to do any pattern matching at all. I wasn't interested in how the striping system was working. I just really like the colours. And these were a very, very simple pair of socks, just a vanilla pair of socks that I thoroughly enjoyed working on. However, I was working on a 2.5mm needle, which is was larger than I usually use. And it was I'll just carry on modelling these for you, and it was only a 64 stitch sock, which is very unusual for me. I normally do 72. Anyway, I was worried that was going to make a really, really tiny, tight sock, even though the needles were larger, but actually, in actual fact, they're looser than many of my socks are. There's quite a lot of give in them. You can see there's quite a lot of extra room in them, so I'm hoping that as they wash they're not going to get really, really baggy, because that would be a shame. Anyway, I could talk with my feet all day, but I suppose I should get on with the rest of the podcast. Talking of Stuart falling over there, keen-eyed viewers among you may have noticed that Aloysius and Stuart, did I call you Stuart? I'm so sorry. Aloysius and Stuart are wearing different clothes. Now let's have a closer look, shall we? Aloysius, of course, is a bakery bear, designed by Kay Jones of Bakery Bear fame. Hello Kay, hello Dan. Now this, look, he's wearing a rainbow coloured jumper. How exciting. His normal blue jumper, somewhere over there, back at Atlantic Knitscape. The lovely Ema gave me a little gift, and she handed me this little pass and she said, "It's not for you," and walked away. I was like, what? She said, you'll know when you open it. So when I opened it, I found that rather than making something for me or giving something to me, she'd knitted something specifically for Aloysius. Now I happen to know that she, not knowing what size jumper to make for him, she went ahead and she bought the pattern so that she, knowing that the jumper came as part of the pattern, she could knit, knowing that he was a bakery bear, that she could knit him a jumper that would fit. So this is a carbon copy of his own jumper, and it's perfect size, of course it is, and it's gorgeous. And because Stuart and Aloysius are an LGBT couple, she knitted a matching scarf for Stuart to wear so that they could have match. Just, isn't that just adorable? Ema, thank you so much. That was really, really kind. So these are the best dressed bears in podcast land now. They have their own wardrobe. So long may that continue, I say. Thanks, Ema. Anyway, where was I? I was talking about FOs. Yeah, talking about the socks. Really, really happy to have another pair of socks in the canon. However, back to the Dragged Across America hat, and back to the story I was telling about Karen earlier on. It just excites me so much. You'll remember the original Dragged Across America hat. I'm totally now enamoured of this hat. I love the pattern. I utterly resolved to the fact I know it's entirely unisex. So many people have told me that they think it works brilliantly well for boys and girls, and I'm very, very happy with it. You can wear it with the leaves at the front or with the lines at the front and the leaves at the side. I'm not sure which way I prefer. I'm not sure that matters, because you will have a different preference, possibly. So this was the one that I made out of this, which was the Missy Alpaca Chunky Baby Alpaca, 100% gorgeous. Oh, so soft, love it. While I was debating whether this was the right yarn for the pattern, because it does, the colours are so beautiful, but they really don't particularly show up what's going on with the pattern, I then bought this to make this. And as you can clearly see, the pattern shows up much, 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 much better. And it's getting cool enough for me to wear this hat out and about. And I really, really like it. And I think it's a very good man hat. I love the fact that it's actually using lace textures to create something quite masculine. So very, very happy with that. And again, leaf to the front, leaf to the side. It works equally well in both ways. Marvellous. So the hat is good. So while I wore this when I went to meet Karen, and Karen was looking at it, and she said to me, would it be possible to make the leaf out of a different colour? I was like, not really, because the leaf doesn't go all the way round, so there's one on that side and one on that side, but you couldn't carry any yarns across because it'd be long floats, but because it's also lace texture, and you'd see the colours showing through if you had these crazy long floats. So that would only leave you with intarsia, and intarsia doesn't work in the round. So I was like, no, what a shame. Nice idea though. And then I had a bit of a brainwave, entirely based on what Karen had said. Entirely, I took her thought one step further and thought, well, a solid block of colour, no, but how about something a little different? And the more Karen and I talked about it, I was like, well, what about using two colours, the base colour and the background colour and a contrast colour, and working them together in a sort of stranded pattern? And she says, yeah, but stranded would still have to go around. I went, don't worry about that, I can take care of that. So I then was thinking, well, maybe just speckling. And then I thought, no, hang on. If you look at the lines of where the stitches come, it really is leaf shaped. And I thought, with a little bit of careful charting and a little bit of careful knitting, you could put a proper leaf design on the hat. We were having tea in Angel, which is where Loop is. I went running to Loop to buy these two colours. Karen and Clement were with me, and they helped me decide what would be the best two colours. This is the main colour, that's why there's less of it. This is the contrast colour, that's why I've got loads left. And this is the Dragged Across America, sort of Mark III. I'm so excited by this. I cannot tell you. And there on the other side is the other leaf shape design. I love this so much. It makes me so incredibly happy. Look at that. Isn't it just amazingly beautiful? Just because of the leaf design in the actual way the stitches are working. But you'll see no floats, nothing at all. If we turn the hat inside out, love this, love this. That's what we've got. Admittedly, I have slightly fallen out of love with this hat, purely because when I knitted it, for some reason I had mistyped in my notes the size needle that I put. I said 6mm, so I knitted it with a 6mm needle. And I knitted it, finished it, wove the ends in. I was really excited. It was like, it's looking gorgeous. It was massive. It was long, so it came down to about here, and it was baggy, and I was like, oh, I can't. So it's a bit of a mystery, because then I had to frog it completely and knitted it again. This took a day. Seriously, a day, that's all. Like a full day of knitting, but just a day. This one is also slightly too big. I went down to 5.5mm needle, and this one's also slightly too big. I have a feeling I actually made this one with a 5mm needle. See, the depth is slightly different. And that's borne out by the fact that I actually can't find my 5mm needle. It's missing. My needle tips are missing. So it means I've used it recently. Anyway, so this is a little bit too big, but how's about that, ladies and gentlemen? I'm so excited by it. I don't mind it being. It's a little bit baggy. I think it would be much nicer made out of a 5mm needle, as specified in my own pattern. But look at that! Isn't it gorgeous? It just gives me so much joy. The idea that we've got the motif only in part of the round. It's really interesting as well, because stranded knitting obviously has a different gauge, and the stitches are a different shape. If you look at one leaf shape next to the other, this one is so much wider than this one. The stranded knitting pulls in quite a lot. Interestingly, because of the texture, because of all the floats at the back, it sort of pushes the design forward, so it kind of pops out at you. But I love it. This one I don't think works because it's big. If it were the right size, it would work better this way round. But I don't think you really get a chance to see much of what's going on. They sort of stand a bit like bunny ears, really. Partly because of the size of the hand, partly because it stands proud. So I think this one's better with the leaves to the front. But you may not agree with me. You may think, no, I like it with the leaves to the side, but I like to be able to see that, and I can't see that in a mirror if it's on the side of my head. But I am so excited by this. So I need to find my 5mm needles. I need to make another one, and the reason I need to do that is because I just want to make sure that the sizing works. If it's big on me, it's going to be massive on lady heads. So the plan is to re-engineer this a little bit. So in the meantime, this hat pattern has been tech edited and is ready to go, as with the striping socks pattern. So they'll be out ready for you very soon. And the only other thing I need to say is, so this pattern is going to be out as a standalone, solid, one colour hat dragged across America. Because not everyone's going to want to go to the bother of learning a new technique to know how to do this. It really works. It really is very simple, but not everyone knows how to do it. So, because it's something I had to figure out for myself. So maybe other people know how to do that kind of thing, but if not, there will be a second pattern coming out. So there are going to be two different patterns. If you like both, you can buy both. I will probably put a little thing on Ravelry that if you've already got one of them, you'll get the other one at a slightly discounted rate. Can't promise that because, here to make money. But if you want to wait for this one, know that it is coming out fairly soon, so you may not want to go ahead and buy that one already. So I'm just pre-warning you, don't think, oh, I really like the pattern, so I'll buy it, thinking, actually, I really prefer that one, because this will be out a little bit later. It'll be called Dragged Across America Mark II, the colour version. I'm so excited about it. I love how that looks. I love the lines of, just the shaping, the flow, I could not be happier with it. I mean, if I'd knitted it the correct size first time, lovely. I have to knit a third version of it, which I'm not really looking forward to. But it doesn't take very long. It really doesn't. So I'm really excited. So Karen thank you for setting me on course to coming up with this as a concept, let alone as a design. It was a real joy putting it together, but it was a real joy collaborating with you once again on that, and my undying gratitude for your chance comment that led me down the road that led to this. I love it. Anyway, that's an hour and a half on the podcast already, so it's time to stop. I'm going to be away really busy over the next couple of weeks leading up to and after New York, so it's unlikely that I will get a chance to record another podcast until I get back from Rhinebeck. So the next time some of you see me will be in person at Rhinebeck. Check out where my classes are, check out what's going on in the world of Sockmatician, and come find me and come and learn how to do double knitting with me. Until the next few weeks, while this podcast episode genuinely is a finished object, remember, life itself is a work in progress. The best thing to do is to take it one stitch at a time. See you in Rhinebeck. Bye-bye.